long-term investment. Let us not forget that we need an absolute majority of members to give consent. So we need to work closely together within the Budget Committee, but also across this House entirely. The need for an absolute majority in the Parliament is something that the Commission should keep in mind. Commissioner, you and the whole College must listen to the Parliament, like we will listen to you, and uphold your role as an honest broker. Without further ado, I pass the floor to the Commissioner for his presentation. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honourable members, first of all, apologies that I'm a bit late. We have been working until almost 4 o'clock, to be frank. And I'm really honoured to be here today with you, to have that opportunity to present the package of proposals of the Commission for the next MFF. The European Parliament is the place where the Commission proposal on the MFF is going to be made public. That's what was agreed also on the Conference of Presidents. And only after my presentation, the press conference of the Presidents will start. And I want to tell you that this is in recognition of your role, both for the democracy in Europe, but also your role in shaping the European Union budget. Let me start with the slides. So my presentation will be accompanied by slides. The goal of this next MFF is a modern, more flexible budget that builds on past successes and responds to the challenges of today, but also tomorrow. You will see that reflected in overall figures, in new spending categories, and in the changes we have made to the structure and principles of the budget. First, every euro from the EU budget must be easy to access for the people and projects it's meant to support, and that is what we mean by simplification. Second, it must be spent on things that matter most to Europeans, where the EU budget can achieve more than national budgets alone. That's what we call being strategic. And third, we need room to respond when the unexpected happens, to act fast in a crisis or shift to new priorities. That's flexibility. That is why we propose an ambitious EU budget for Europe. And we will do all of that while fully upholding the rule of law. I know it's a long-standing concern of this House. The Commission's position is clear. No EU money without respect for the principle of rule of law. That's the framework, the principles behind our proposal. The next MFF will be an ambitious EU budget with a total size of 2 trillion euros. Let me turn to the core question: where and how will we spend the EU taxpayers' money? The next MFF will be organised around 3 core functions of the EU budget: support to member states via national and regional partnership plans, support to beneficiaries and businesses via the Competitiveness Fund, and support to partners via Global Europe. Those pillars are grouped under 3 separate headings, together with the traditional heading for administration. This brings us to 4 headings, which is a much leaner and more flexible structure than today's 7 headings. National and regional partnership plans will bring together reforms and investments under a coordinated framework. They will help us deliver faster and with more impact across our priorities, from cohesion and regional development to agriculture. The plans will not forget our farmers and fishermen. We will ensure that their income is protected by ring-fencing of 300 billion euros for farmers, 2 billion euros for fishermen. And that includes also doubled agricultural reserve. And we are also serious about Europe's social model. The plans will ensure at least 14% of spending for social objectives. We will also ring-fence 218 billion euros for less developed regions. To strengthen Europe's capacity to respond to shared challenges at our borders, we will integrate the funds for borders, security and migration into the national and regional partnerships with a tripling of their financing. Eastern regions bordering Ukraine, Russia and Belarus will receive a bonus in the allocation of funds to reflect their specific challenges, both for the security and for their economy. The second pillar is the Competitiveness Fund. Together with the 10th Framework Programme for Research, the Competitiveness Fund reaches a financial firepower of 451 billion euros, including the Innovation Fund. It brings together our investment efforts across clean tech, digital, biotech, defence, space and food security, backing projects from idea to industrial scale. Let me stress the importance of investments in defence and space. Within the Competitiveness Fund, we will increase by the factor of 5 resources which are available for those objectives, so they will reach the level of 131 billion euros. That will be our contribution of the Competitiveness Fund to defence. As you know, as we discussed already last time, Horizon will remain a flagship with a significantly reinforced budget. In parallel, we are scaling up the Connecting Europe facility to a total of 81 billion euros to complete infrastructure Europe needs to stay connected and secure. That includes substantial investments in cross-border sustainable infrastructure and also, in the context of defence, tenfold increase for military mobility. Finally, with 200 billion for global Europe, we can act faster, respond better and build deeper partnerships from enlargement to humanitarian aid. And we also set aside up to 100 billion euro outside the MFF ceilings for Ukraine, our most strategic partner. This is a long-term commitment to Ukraine's recovery and reconstruction. Let me add some words about the EU programmes that citizens know and value the most. We propose a reinforced Erasmus+, because we believe in young people, in skills, and in a Europe of opportunity. We also propose an Agora EU programme, a single, stronger instrument bringing together support for media, culture, democracy and values. This merger of creative Europe and citizens, equality, rights and values will make access simpler for beneficiaries and more visible for our citizens. An important lesson we have learned is that we need to inject some flexibility into the Union's long-term framework to face the unexpected and to adapt to evolving priorities. The next MFF would integrate flexibility at several levels. You can see that on the slides. Through buffers in the 3 main pillars in the form of non-allocated funds and reserves, and through enhanced special instruments which can be mobilised above the ceilings, in particular the flexibility instruments. We are also proposing a dedicated crisis mechanism which would be able to mobilise loans up to almost 400 billion euros. It would be embedded in the own resources decision and triggered by the Council with the consent of the European Parliament. I want to stress that we have heard your position expressed on many occasions on the activation of Article 122. That tool might allow us to work closer with the European Parliament at time of crisis. In addition, we are upgrading our capacity to act in emergencies. A new Union civil protection mechanism with a 5 times increased budget will combine civil protection with health preparedness for a Europe that can prevent, prepare and respond faster and more effectively. This is a direct answer to what we learned during COVID, wildfires and floods. Crises do not wait, and neither can Europe. As you can already see, honourable members, this is an ambitious and balanced package, but let's not forget, starting in 2028, we begin repaying the next generation EU funds. So even a modest increase in spending requires a matching effort on the revenue side. This has always been one of the most difficult parts of the MFF negotiations with the Council. And this time, it will be even more challenging given the growing pressure on national budgets. That's why, building on the principle of stable national contributions, we are proposing to introduce new sources of revenue. Right now, the EU budget is funded through 4 main own resources, traditional own resources, contributions based on the VAT, contributions based on the non-recycled plastic packaging waste, and GNI-based contributions, which balances the budget. Our proposal includes 5 new own resources, which you can see on the slide. As part of this reform, we are simplifying the system, including ending the current corrections to make EU financing more transparent and fairer. These are not abstract numbers. This is about fair and stable financing of the Union, where those who benefit from the single market also contribute fairly to the public good. This is a balanced mix of new revenues, and that does not overburden national budgets and which is in sync with our policy objectives. I maybe explain. Tobacco, 11.2, corporate, 6.8. These are various adjustments to the current systems with elimination of corrections, including elimination of corrections. ETS 1.9.6, CBAM 1.4. This is the CBAM without the extension of the scope. As you know, we are also working on the extension of the scope of CBAM. And this is a e-waste, electronic waste, new own resource. You see that we have skipped 2 proposals. The one which was a statistical own resource on the corporate profits, quite a significant part of the package tabled by the Commission 3 years ago, and we have also skipped ETS2. Also, to be frank, after discussions that we had in the European Parliament and the concerns that you have expressed. Honourable members, this House plays a vital role as budgetary authority, as co-legislator, and as guardian of accountability. Our proposals will strengthen the Parliament's role. More flexibility means more decisions in the annual budget where your voice matters most. And to guide these decisions, we propose a new political steering mechanism, a joint process between Parliament, Council and Commission to shape the allocation of flexible resources each year in line with shared priorities. Let me conclude. Over the past months, I have had many good conversations with you, and I have listened carefully to what matters most to you. You have voiced your concerns about the stability of farmers' incomes, essential for ensuring food security in the EU. You have underlined the importance of predictability for regional funds, which are key for long-term investments. You have stressed the need to protect the European social model, something the EU budget has always supported, and you have made it clear how important the future of European research is, and you are also giving a very strong support to the new own resources. I hope that you could recognise your contributions in today's proposal. But at the same time, I am fully aware this is only the beginning of the negotiations, and I believe that if there is goodwill on all sides, we will get to the successful conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for this presentation. I immediately go to the floor, and more specifically to the MFF co-rapporteurs, and then afterwards the own resources co-rapporteurs. First, Mr. Siegfried Muresan, EPP. Please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Commissioner, welcome to the European Parliament. We hope you brought some official documents with you as well, as this distinguished House has not been officially informed by the European Commission so far of any of the decisions that you have made today. In preparation of today's meeting, the commitments that were made towards the Parliament, that we would receive documents for the honourable members of the House here, the colleagues, to analyse this commitment, unfortunately, was not respected. Thank you for the beautiful PowerPoint and for presenting the full part of the glass. Of course, we have to tell you some things as well today, which are based on the facts that this proposal was prepared against the demands of the Parliament, against the demands of beneficiaries, and against the demands of regions as well. And we also have to underline the fact that the cooperation with the authors of this proposal throughout the process was poor. The quality of information that we have received was not satisfactory, and towards the end of the process it was missing, and we have a different understanding of an honest interinstitutional cooperation between our institutions. Now when it comes to the demands, what do we want as a European Parliament? We want a budget that is aligned with the priorities of the Union, firstly. Secondly, we want a budget which is sufficient and which gives predictability and certainty to the beneficiaries, to research, to farmers, to the local and regional level. And we want a budget that is European. And what is being put forward now is a proposal to renationalise the budget of the European Union, and we believe this would weaken the budget, and we believe this would weaken the European Union as well. This is why in its position at the beginning of May, when we underlined our expectations, we have said clearly that we would reject national regional partnership plans if there is no clear European thinking behind the spending of money, if there is no preservation of the common agricultural policy and of the cohesion policy. And we cannot accept that the budget of the European Union becomes the sum of 27 national, eventually conflicting different agendas. This means that Europe becomes a cash machine. We want a shared vision, a common vision, which balances flexibility and predictability for the next 7 years. We believe that the national regional partnership plans are bad for member states as well, because we would have member states competing against each other. We believe that the national regional partnership plans in this form water down the long-standing priorities of the Union, which are agriculture and cohesion. And we believe that farmers have made very significant efforts in recent years. They faced inflation. They contributed to the transition to the green economy. They faced price volatility. They faced extreme weather conditions. So we believe the support of farmers needs to be increased, not questioned, not decreased. And this is why the position of this European Parliament is for agriculture the same amount until now, adjusted to inflation. And the first question is whether the figure that you mentioned, which is ring-fenced, would match the expectation of the Parliament. Same for cohesion. We're open to change. We're open to the common agriculture policy and to cohesion policy being reformed, being put in line with new objectives. But we are opposed to weakening these two traditional policies. We are opposed to change for the sake of change. We are open to change for strengthening, but we are against change for weakening. The new priorities of the Union are clearly security, defence and competitiveness. On security and defence, we fail to clearly understand what the amounts foreseen would be. We would appreciate some more clarity. And on competitiveness, so far we see the Competitiveness Fund mainly as an umbrella for merging existing programmes. But we believe it needs to go hand in hand with a clear competitiveness strategy. How do we strengthen the single market? How do we make the most of the potential that we have? For external action as well, we want greater transparency, a clearer breakdown of financing to ensure that the EU spending is understandable and accountable. What we see in the Commission's proposal is fewer budgetary lines, less transparency, and basically the Commission deciding alone how it shifts priorities and finances them. We believe that the motto of this budget can be, we're not fixing anything, we will see. But we think this is bad for beneficiaries. We think predictability is missing. When it comes to size, the increases up to the 2 trillion, which sounds well in theory, are firstly inflation, secondly the repayment for Next Generation EU, no penny for the beneficiaries. So we would invite the authors of this proposal not to mislead the beneficiaries of EU funds in creating the false impression that there will be more for them. So we made resources available at the beginning of the pandemic. We ask them back now for the repayment of Next Generation EU. That doesn't mean that we're paying twice. It means that we paid once and we're asking back for the second time, so it's pretty much a zero-sum game. We also think, and this is my last point, we also think that the insertion of the repayment of Next Generation EU